So in Dragon Ball Super's Universe Survival arc, we were introduced to Jiren. A member of the Pride Troopers, a heroic team from Universe 11, Jiren's power seems unparalleled among the mortals, and his strength even surpasses that of his own god of destruction, Belmod. Jiren's power is so great that even Goku, who achieved a new transformation far beyond his normal limits in Ultra Instinct, could not match Jiren's full power. No one has been able to stand up to Jiren's power, but where did Jiren actually get this power? How did Jiren get so strong? Well, I honestly couldn't tell you because I'm still waiting for the series to let me know. And that gets into an underlying problem with Jiren as a character. Beyond his overwhelming strength, what is there actually to Jiren's character? What gives Jiren motivation to be in this tournament or even to be a part of the Pride Troopers to begin with? What makes Jiren the character he actually is? And what is the source of his power? It seems like Dragon Ball Super has been wholly uninterested in telling us so far. And I know, Dragon Ball as a franchise doesn't really have the best villains. None of them have the complexity that villains like Magneto or Darth Vader have. However, each of them still possess defining traits that make them distinct from one another. Vegeta was a Saiyan prince with a strong sense of pride and nobility. Frieza is a racist, genocidal, sociopathic, posh tyrant who dominated the universe and couldn't accept anyone being on or above his level. The androids were cold killing machines who were kidnapped and experimented on by Dr. Gero. Their future counterparts from Trunks' timeline sought to destroy for their own pleasure. Now, Cell was similar in this way. However, he also possessed the distinctive traits of Vegeta, Goku, and Frieza. But over time, his character becomes more and more of his own, and he actually evolves. Majin Buu may not have been the best of these villains, however his childlike mentality, abilities, and the humorous ways he was used allowed him to stand out among the crowd. Now compare all of these villains to Jiren, and there's a pretty clear difference. What is really distinct or different about Jiren? His design is a cross between a gray alien and Mr. Majestic from the Wildcats. He's a member of the Pride Troopers, he's really strong, he has some sort of code like every other character fighting in the ring, he wants the Super Dragon Balls for some reason, and he's the main antagonist of this arc. That's literally it. That is all the character development he's been given, and this doesn't make for an interesting or compelling antagonist. Instead, what we get is a character with little to no personality, whose past we know very little about, dominating a bunch of characters we actually do care about, using seemingly endless power that has yet to be explained. And despite the good animation, exciting music, and episodes which go out of their way to push Jiren as a badass, the end result is ultimately boring. Because if you strip away that animation and score, and you just look at Jiren from a character standpoint, it becomes apparent that Jiren himself is a boring character. He's just a big, strong heel with ultimate plot power who stands in the way of Goku and friends' survival. He's just an obstacle, someone to be beaten and then to keep moving on to the next arc where Goku fights the next big bad who is even stronger than Jiren, and the cycle continues like a Dragon Ball Z movie. And so far, Jiren hasn't really shown much to differentiate him from a movie villain in the first place. Let's take Broly for instance. Both he and Jiren are big powerful antagonists who wreck Goku and friends, have a seemingly endless power, and do badass things. But Broly also has the fact that he's the quote legendary Super Saiyan. He was sentenced to death as a child along with his father, and the two reigned terror across the southern galaxy before trying to take revenge on Goku and Vegeta. And while some of this, specifically Broly's reason for hating Goku, is just dumb, it's at least still something. We haven't really even been given that much with Jiren. And people are no doubt going to draw comparisons between Jiren and Hit. And I've talked on many occasions about how I like Hit as a character and think he's one of the best characters to debut in Super, but there are definitely similarities between the two. Both are big, badass characters who serve as the ultimate weapon for the respective universes. They both have the advantage against Goku at first, force him to use his ultimate form of Kaioken and push himself past his limits to overcome them. In many ways, Jiren is the new version of Hit, just for Universe 11 and for a bigger, much more important tournament. However, while we're on the subject, let's talk about the ways that these two characters are different. Hit has special powers beyond conventional strength. Using his Tokitobashi, Hit can actually skip over time, save up the energy he stores from doing so, and then uses it to create an alternate dimension which he can travel through and attack his opponents, and he can even freeze them in place. Jiren, on the other hand, is just powerful. His strength, speed, durability, and ki projection are beyond everyone else's, but beyond this, he has seemingly no special abilities. It's literally just overwhelming strength that is apparently even beyond time, but that's hardly as exciting or interesting as Hit's powers. Hit is also an assassin who is over 1,000 years old. He tries to finish his jobs with only one blow, and seeks to improve not only his power, but his techniques. Jiren, on the other hand, is a pride trooper, but he seems the least interested in justice and fighting for his universe than anyone else. We have no idea how old he is, or even anything about his past. In every example, Hit is more interesting and distinct as a character than Jiren, and Hit is also the more developed character of the two. And while some may say that Hit has been around longer, Jiren has had a lot of screen time during this arc, which in total has to be approaching Hit's combined screen time. And all of this has been ample opportunity to develop Jiren's character, yet most of it has involved him standing around watching fighters or just meditating. He didn't even have an actual fight with anyone before Goku, and after he defeated Hit, he just went back to doing nothing. He could have been used for far more than this, perhaps not for action, but they could have thrown in flashbacks to his past, some backstory, or really anything at all. And maybe it's meant to maintain the sense of mystery about the character. Jiren is a mysterious badass. But the more time goes on, the more it seems like there's nothing really behind the mystery, and the more boring Jiren seems to become. And that's just another problem with the anime version of the Tournament of Power. It keeps going on and on and on when it should have already ended episodes ago. And unless they sneak in some development for Jiren in the remaining episodes, which they very well could, Jiren will have been a big disappointment as a character. And even if they do put in some character development now, I'd have to wonder why they waited for so long. So they're damned if they do and damned if they don't at this point. And that's of course their fault for writing the arc this way. And yes, in this case the manga actually has taken some more time than the anime to develop Jiren's character and his relationship with Belmont as well as the Pride Troopers, but it's not like what little we've been given suddenly fixes all the issues. Jiren's Superman-like qualities are played up more, and we see him defeat an enemy, but he still needs to be basically bribed to join the Tournament of Power using the possible wish on the Super Dragon Balls, which hardly makes him seem altruistic. And Toyotaro just had Toppo spill the beans about Jiren being stronger than Belmont when he fought Goku, which instantly takes away much of the mystery around Jiren's power in the early part of the arc, and the possibility for an epic reveal like in the anime. So I'm not exactly expecting the manga, which has skipped over a lot of character development and character moments in the past, to fix this issue. And what issues it does fix might even be replaced with new ones. But then of course, there's the Superman comparison. People love to keep saying how Jiren is just like Superman, but these people clearly don't know what they're talking about. Jiren is like if Toriyama or Toyotaro read a single issue of the Justice League of America and then drew a generic watered-down version of a character they just assumed Superman was like. And the Pride Troopers are also much like the Justice League, having their own unique powers, fighting for their universe's survival against monsters, and so on. But Jiren and Superman couldn't be more different as far as what their characters seem to represent. Superman represents the hopes and ideals of humanity, the American dream, and stands out as a lighthouse in the modern era of moral ambiguity and anti-heroes. He fights for justice and has a strong belief system which is constantly tested while facing opponents or just living a normal life as someone those around him view as a human being. Where is any any of this in Jiren's character. Where is what Superman actually represents? I really don't see any of it. If Jiren is supposed to be like Superman, then he's clearly just another cheap knockoff. And I know talking positively about Superman in the Dragon Ball community is frowned upon, especially when saying he or other members of the Justice League are better characters, but I like Superman, and I actually understand what he represents and why he's such an important character that influenced not only Western stories, but yes, anime as well, including Dragon Ball. But even in Jiren's own superhero team, he's probably the least developed or interesting. Topo, Casserole, Dispo, all of them are more defined as characters than Jiren. So right now as it stands, Jiren is boring to me. As much as I love seeing the great animation, music, and events that surround him, most of that comes down to presentation. And if another villain who actually had well-defined motivations was fighting Goku and Vegeta, I'm sure that this would be that much better. Because Jiren is meant to be a person, like everyone we know and love in Universe 7. He's fighting for his universe, and could be erased if he fails. We should be able to understand his personal reasons for fighting, see what he wants to wish for, and feel for him as he tries to achieve that. Instead, all he's done is serve as an antagonist to be toppled by Goku and friends. And while there is some time remaining for Toei, Toyotaro, and Toriyama to give him a real backstory and some development and make us actually care, I'm not going to hold my breath for it. And it's unlikely that Jiren's motivations being revealed at the end will make all the time he was doing nothing any less boring or skippable. And that sums up much of this current arc, because while it's a cool concept and there's been some cool moments, the arc as a whole just has so much content and so many episodes that beg for you to either fast forward through or skip over them altogether. And I'm not sure Jiren's character will provide fans with much motivation to watch the Tournament of Power in its entirety in the future. Make sure to subscribe to this channel and enable notifications so you could see all of my content right away when it comes out.
Yeah, and you better subscribe, enable those damn notifications.